October 20th, 2025, mark the date down because this is the day the system finally cracked. First, the so-called No Kings Revolution fizzled into a geriatric field trip. And now the same crowd that couldn't fill a park just watched their own digital kingdom go dark. Amazon servers collapsed.
We are keeping an eye this morning. It is October 20th, by the way, of a major Amazon outage, but it's affecting other sites too. Disney Plus, Venmo, United Airlines, Verizon.
It would appear as if major internet services are down. Amazon, at least, is down. Snapchat down, as well as Robinhood. The Amazon Web Services have said recently.
T-Mobile, the McDonald's app, Lyft, the list goes on. So if you cannot get your apps to work this morning, it might be because of this outage. Like I said, we're keeping an eye on the news headlines this morning, and we'll keep you updated.
Websites are down, payments are frozen, even parts of the government portals are offline, and the woke internet has completely lost its ever-loving mind.
We're out here at the No Kings protest, and we're asking all the important questions.
Such as, if Trump was elected, how exactly is he a king?
Because he is trying to take control of everything. Like his checks and balances are not working, so he is just trying to completely disregard the Constitution.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of amendments have been kind of overcome, like in a way that they're not supposed to be.
Wait, which amendment specifically?
The whole the first one.
Trying to take away our
freedom of protesting.
I would say that it's because even though he was elected, I agree, due process, he got what he got elected fairly, sure, but he's doing things that make him a king, like he's taking away, civil rights.
That's a great question. I don't particularly think he's a king, it's how people are viewing him as.
Actively switching the levers of power in order to subvert elections.
And what does that mean?
Things such as trouble coming up with words.
They call Trump a dictator, but tonight it's their empire that just went offline. No tweets, no streams, no safe spaces, just error screens, blue screens, and silence. Folks, this isn't just a glitch. This is a symbolic collapse. In fact, the physical and digital meltdown of a movement that's been running on fumes since day one. The same people who staged the fake protests to save democracy, they can't even keep their servers from crashing. Now, here's a twist. This outage, it didn't just expose Amazon. It exposed the entire left-wing machine, the media, their funding networks, their activist servers. All of it is built on sand. One disruption and the whole illusion shatters. But buckle up, guys, because tonight we're going to connect the dots between this failed street revolution and a digital blackout that ultimately humiliated the entire establishment. This No Kings movement, dead on arrival, the woke web flatlined, and President Trump, he's watching it all unfold, calm, collected, and in full control. Hit the like button and subscribe. Today, we're going to go ahead and dive into how both of these collapses, one in the streets and one in the servers and in the data centers, prove that America's finally breaking free from the chaos machine. You're going to want to watch this to the end because what comes next absolutely changes everything. So let's connect what just happened here, okay? Within the span of 1 week, guys, 1 week, America watched two collapses take place. Two collapses that define this entire era. The first was the so-called No Kings uprising that was hyped up by legacy media as they pretty much, returned. This was like a return of the resistance, only to sputter into a sidewalk shuffle of retirees and pre-printed signs. But the second one came just hours later when Amazon's cloud, our modern nervous system, flatlined. Payments, portals, logistics, even government dashboards are gone.
Amazon closure at 3 a.m. in the morning. They have no answers for us. We've all been sitting here for about 45 minutes. So I came from my shift at Amazon Flex this morning. I had a shift at 3:30 a.m. And when I got here at 3:20, there were people standing outside. But yeah, when I got there, people were standing outside, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm trying to sign into my app, and it's not working. So I'm walking up and I hear the people from inside saying that the app is down, like the whole store is down, type shit, and they can't help us. We have to call support. Not even call support, call support, because the phone's not working. So we've been standing here, waiting here for 30 minutes. Now they have a line wrapped around the barricade to sign your name in and what time you're supposed to be here. Who knows what the fuck that will do. I sent emails, I have pictures. Yeah, so we're just waiting to see what happens. I have another shift at fucking 10 o'clock, so hopefully they have the shit fixed by then.
Incredible, guys. And that, folks, is poetic symmetry. Two symbols of Democrat competence, their grassroots and their tech allies, collapsed side by side. One was physical and one was digital. Both were built by empty virtue. The streets went dark first, then the servers did. I mean, it's kind of like, watching the curtain fall on a Broadway musical set made out of cardboard. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't make this stuff up. The same political class that promised progress delivered paralysis. They can't manage a protest, and they sure can't manage the infrastructure that keeps the country online. Now, people don't always admit it, but we all follow the herd sometimes, right? And so right now, the herd is calling chapter because they have realized that Medicare isn't something to gamble with. And as if that wasn't enough, millions of seniors today across the United States, they're getting a message from their doctor saying, we will no longer accept your insurance next year. Now, after that, they're being prompted to call Chapter to get your new coverage. Now, this is why I partner with Chapter, folks. They are amazing. I mean, when thousands of people are making the same move, there's usually a good reason for that. So let me ask you, are you going to resist the herd, or are you going to do what millions of people are already doing and make the smart call? Now, most people, they're already dialing that phone number right there on your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. Again, that phone number is 909-563-8279. And when you call, tell my friends over at Chapter that Ron Yates says hello. And of course, it is a completely free phone call for the Ron Yates community.
Over the weekend, the No Kings protests.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out.
Trump's a bitch.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. We don't like him. That's the word around here.
When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
Mr. President, besides San Francisco...
By the way, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
Over the weekend, the No Kings protests.
Two collapses in 7 days. That's not coincidence, guys. That is consequence. Now, remember what we saw, or you guys remember those feeds? NBC reporters whispering that the crowd looked older. CNN cutting away mid-afternoon because the so-called mass uprising was already packing up at like 2:30 p.m. Organizers bragged about millions of marchers across 2,600 cities. Meanwhile, reality delivered maybe, 2,000 in Boston and a drizzle of tired slogans elsewhere. Now, instead of revolution, we got a retirement picnic with microphones. I mean, seriously, white-haired activists waving half-read place cards, chanting lines that they can barely even understand. Gen Z, the demographic that Democrats swore could carry them for decades, they were missing in action. Where was Gen Z? Even the media that built this movement couldn't hide its embarrassment. They were all embarrassed, and the footage proved it. Confused protesters who couldn't even explain why Trump was supposedly even a king, babbling about amendments that they couldn't even name. This was the perfect snapshot of a movement that was running on fumes. No conviction, no energy, just nostalgia for the protests of the past. Now, what was billed as a political earthquake ended up being a polite tremor that barely rattled a park bench. The No King spectacle, that was a national meme before it even ended. Now, here's where it gets almost poetic, guys. You see, the No Kings movement, it wasn't just a complete failure in the streets. This was a failure of performative activism in the digital age. Their resistance, it depends entirely on big tech's permission to exist. So when Amazon's cloud went down, their entire identity vanished with it. No live streams, no donation portals, no tweets or posts, nothing. The same people screaming about fighting fascism, they couldn't even reload their own hashtags. I mean, the outrage machine, it needs servers to survive. And so when those servers flatline, when the data center goes dark, so does the activism. Now, think about that for a second, okay? Widespread, nationwide outage for Amazon. These are the same keyboard warriors who claim to be saving democracy, but one server crash and they disappear into the void. That's not a movement, guys. This is a malfunction. This is the perfect example of what we've been saying all along. The left doesn't build, it performs. And so when the Wi-Fi network went dark, so did their coverage. Their revolution wasn't canceled by censorship. It was canceled by a simple outrage. The No Kings crowd finally met the one opponent that they couldn't shout down: the spinning loading symbol. And of course, followed by the blue screen of death. So now I want to go ahead and break down exactly what happened, okay? 11:42 a.m. Eastern, Amazon Web Services, AWS, began to fail. Not a glitch. We're talking about a nationwide disruption. I'm talking e-commerce transactions are frozen, streaming platforms blank, banking apps offline, even parts of federal systems are sputtering. Let me know what part of the outage affected you guys today. Did you try to log into Amazon? Was it your streaming services? Are you a federal employee? Let me know how you got affected today. Now, Breitbart called it the digital blackout heard around the world. GB News reported power failures across Europe tied to AWS redundancies. Western Journal even said it best. They said one company's mistake paralyzed millions. And the irony, Democrats spent years handing more control to the same monopolies that they pretend to regulate. Everything, government data, we're talking about hospitals, corporate logistics, all of it sits on the same fragile backbone. And so when it cracked, the illusion of control shattered with it. Now, while President Trump's administration moved rather quickly, deploying federal cyber teams and reassuring markets, the legacy media tried to downplay it. They called it a temporary disruption. But for millions of Americans watching error screens and frozen dashboards, kind of felt like the internet itself just went on strike. Now, a single server crash exposed the truth. Under democratic infrastructure, America is not built back better. It's actually built on borrowed bandwidth. So, moments like this, it really kind of makes you stop and think, if the biggest corporations on earth with trillion-dollar budgets and armies of engineers can crumble in a single afternoon, then what chance does the average American have if they're still depending on that same fragile system? Now, after watching the world's biggest corporations crumble, what is the number one thing that keeps you from believing financial freedom is actually possible for you? Drop it in the comments down below. I want to know from you guys, what is the number one reason, what is the number one thing that keeps you from believing that financial freedom is actually possible? Because once you realize that these untouchable giants are not invincible, you kind of start to see how powerful you can become when you build something that doesn't rely on them. Now, this is what this whole moment exposes, not just their weakness, but your opportunity. So what this Amazon outage really revealed, it wasn't just bad tech, it was economic rot. That's right, guys. Years of democratic mismanagement built a system that's so centralized, so bloated that one digital hiccup rippled through the entire economy. Payroll systems froze, shipment trackers crashed, credit card processors blinked out. I mean, you can almost hear the market gasp. This is the legacy of the Biden era bureaucracy still woven into our federal contracts. Endless compliance reviews, DEI-driven hiring, and no accountability when the systems fail. Now, President Trump's new economic council warned about this months ago. Too many single points of failure, too few people who actually know how to fix them. And of course, the irony burns, right? You got Democrats spending years lecturing America about resilience and sustainability, yet their own infrastructure can't even survive a software bug. Meanwhile, Trump rebuilds supply chains. They're still patching over a digital Jenga tower that's ready to collapse. I mean, This is not a coincidence. This was the bill this is the bill coming due. I mean, the same crowd that can't balance a budget just proved that they can't even balance the cloud. Their progress, this is a paper empire, and it just caught fire in real time. And right on cue, the meltdown began, not in the server room, but in the studios. You got MSNBC, CNN, and all the usual suspects scrambled to label the outage a minor inconvenience, but hashtag Amazon crash and hashtag woke internet down exploded across social media platforms faster than their fact checkers could blink. I mean, these are the same outlets that treated the No Kings fiasco like the March on Washington, now suddenly whispering about technical issues. The contrast is laughable, folks. So when the protests failed, they blamed the weather. When the cloud failed, they blamed a routine update. Anything but themselves. And the memes, absolutely brutal. I mean, screenshots of the Amazon error page plastered with no connection equals no kings. I mean, conservatives roasted them online while left-wing influencers begged followers to stay patient. Guys, even CNN's digital broadcast went dark for a few minutes. Poetic justice, if ever there was one, right? Drop a poetic justice down below if you agree. So when the woke internet crashes, the narrative crashes right along with it. For a movement that lives online, this is existential. You can't gaslight America if the lights are off, can you? Even their spin ran out of bandwidth. So if you step back just for a second, the symbolism is almost biblical. I mean, the same week Democrats tried to stage their No Kings uprising against Trump's leadership, their own digital kingdom collapsed beneath them. 2 shutdowns, count them, 2 shutdowns, one message. You can't build a future on chaos. Now, Saturday, their protests fizzled before lunchtime. Monday, their servers, they did the same. One was supposed to be the people's revolution, but the other, the infrastructure of modern civilization. Both of them were gone by midday. It's poetic justice, guys. The left tried to shut down America with tantrums, and America just watched them get shut down instead by their own incompetence. From the streets to the servers, their entire ecosystem is brittle, dependent, and hollow. They talk about systemic collapse like a buzzword. Well, here it is, guys, live and literal. The same ideology that breaks families, communities, and cities now breaks data centers. The message couldn't be any clearer. When you build on sand, everything sinks. And so while they continue to try to scramble to reboot their illusion, Trump's America is running just fine. Now, while the left is panicking, President Trump, he stayed pretty cool on this one. So within minutes of the outage, multiple outage reports coming in, he appeared before the press, calm and direct. We're assessing, we're securing, and we're learning. No panic, no blame shifting, just leadership. Now, his administration launched a federal cyber resilience task force to audit government reliance on big tech monopolies. He even called for decentralizing the cloud, moving critical systems back under American control. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like foresight to me, the very thing that Democrats mocked during the campaign. Now, if you compare that to the opposition, while Trump was working the problem, Democrats were tweeting conspiracy theories about foreign hackers and MAGA insiders. They never take responsibility. They just outsource it, the same as their servers. Americans, they saw the split screen in real time. On one side, you had competence but on the other side, you had complete chaos. Trump is steadying the ship. Chuck Schumer's pointing fingers. Trump is talking solutions. AOC is filming yet another rant. The difference is night and day here. Leadership versus liability. And that, my friends, this is why the polls keep climbing, because when the lights go out, America still looks to the man who keeps his hand on the switch. Now, what's happening right now isn't just political. This is generational. So while the No Kings crowd shuffled through city squares, clutching pre-printed signs, young conservatives, they were building things. They were building businesses and digital platforms, independent media channels. Meanwhile, the left was rebooting their routers. So one side creates, the other one complains. It is literally the divide between people who understand ownership and people who wait for permission. So Gen Z was supposed to save the Democrats, but instead they're walking away. They're tired of fake activism and corporate moralizing. They want results, not rhetoric. They watched the woke web crash and realized how fragile that whole ecosystem and how fragile the whole ecosystem really is. So when Amazon's cloud failed, Small independent entrepreneurs, many of them Trump supporters, kept selling, kept shipping, kept moving forward because they built systems that don't depend on handouts or hashtags. It's rather symbolic of the American backbone forming under Trump's leadership. Self-reliant, tech-savvy, unapologetically patriotic. This is the same generation that the media wrote off as lost. Well, it's turning out to be the most red-pilled of all. And as the left's bandwidth disappears, the right's influence is expanding. So what did this week show us? Well, it showed us that every part of the old order, the protests, the politics, even the platforms, it is cracking under its own weight. The No Kings fiasco proved their movement has no soul. The Amazon collapse proved that their empire has no foundation. They can't even keep the streets under control, and they cannot keep the servers online. So this isn't the end of the internet. It is the end of illusion. The illusion that the left runs the show, that their institutions are untouchable, and that their systems are permanent. All it took was one protest that nobody even cared about and one outage that nobody could stop in order to prove the future belongs to builders and not bureaucrats. So as the media fumbles for excuses and activists scramble to plug back in, I want you to remember this, okay? Trump's America didn't break the system. It revealed how broken it already was. And that revelation right there, this is the beginning of renewal, because when the fake systems fall, real strength rises. The chaos isn't the end. It is the clearing. And from here on out, it's rebuilding time. Like, subscribe, share. I'll see you guys next time.